Hey guys and welcome, my name is James and today we'll be looking at Conceria Walpier's Buttero leather, which is, for many, one of the best leathers out there. I chose this leather in red because I've had difficulties in the past getting this kind of color, or at least dyeing leather in this kind of color, and I really wanted to see what it looked like in real life. Bear in mind this is an aniline dye, so it's been tumbled with the dye, which means that it's going to be really consistent throughout, so if you're skiving, there's no issue there. It's got some great firmness to it, so I could definitely imagine this turning out to be a really gorgeous card holder or anything else you might want to make with it, depending on the thickness that you choose. I'd like to give a big thank you to Rocky Mountain Leather Supply who sent me this to test out. Rocky Mountain Leather Supplies has an amazing range of leathers in all sizes, all thicknesses, all colors, and don't forget that they actually do skive them down to the thickness that you want free of any charge, which is a big bonus. So if you're in leathercraft or looking to change suppliers or just looking for some great quality products, go and check them out. The link is in the description below. Today we'll be performing a series of tests, going from oiling this leather to waxing it, to scratching it, to buffing it, to sewing it, to cutting it. Any test I can think of I will try and show you guys on camera here, and hopefully this will give you a better idea of what to expect when working with this for your own projects. So guys, let's get to the bench, let's get testing, and let's get crafting. As always, I've cut this into pieces of 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters and marked them with different tests. I've got one reference piece, as always, and we'll start with the water test. Very unsurprisingly, this doesn't really absorb water. It's got a nice finish to it. I'll let it spread it out a bit, rub it in a bit more. But as you can see, the water's just being spread out and it's not really doing much. It is absorbing slowly. It's taking its time. So I'll keep rubbing it for a couple seconds. I'm not rubbing hard, I'm just spreading the water around. So the water has marked it a bit, but overall it's not too bad. That's pretty much to be expected. It's interesting to see how the water has marked it in a certain pattern. You can definitely see the pores where the water has been absorbed more than other places, which is quite interesting to see. Again, that stretch mark just there, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you definitely can see it just there. Certainly has come out a bit more, and you've got a second one just here as well. So we'll put this to one side and come back to it later. The next test is going to be oil, and I'm using 100% pure neatsfoot oil for this. Okay, that's very interesting. The oil seems to be absorbing the same way the water did, and you can clearly see the different pores where the water's been absorbed more than other places. I did start in the middle there, so that's why this area is a bit more prone to absorption than other places. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised with the unevenness of the way the oil is being brought into this leather. This leather hasn't been treated by me at all. This is how I got it, and clearly it's being absorbed a bit unevenly in those pores. We'll see what happens to the wax, but that's been a very interesting test as far as I'm concerned, to show that it doesn't absorb as much as water, clearly, but it does absorb a bit, and you've got the same weird grainy pattern of absorption happening as you did with water. For the wax test, I'll be using Saphir Médaille d'Or Paris. This is readily available. Most cobblers will have this. This is why I'm using this one, because this gives us a very clear indication of how wax would react. So I'll go ahead and apply a thin coat of wax and see what happens. I am using tissue paper here in order not to tamper with the leather at all, just to make sure that I'm not getting anything else but wax inside my leather. Straight away, I can tell you the feel of this. It is gorgeous. It really feels nice waxing this. It is silky smooth. It goes on like a treat. And so far, I am very pleased. There's a slight discoloration maybe in the leather, but overall that's holding out really nicely. So I'm just going to let it dry for a couple of seconds and buff off the excess and see what we're left with. That looks really nice. I am very happy with the way that turned out. It did darken very slightly on the crease lines of the leather there, but that's to be expected. And to be honest, I really like that look. It doesn't really bring out, now to be fair, it doesn't really bring these out as much as it might have on some more natural vegetable tanned leather that I usually use. So, sorry guys. So this is actually a really good result as far as I'm concerned, because you can only just barely see a very slight discoloration, which was already there before, so I'm not worried about that, and I think that looks really nice, and we don't have the same absorption pattern as we did with oils or water, so I'm very happy. Let's compare this to my original reference piece. So we start off with the reference piece and the water test, and yeah, water test. There we go. You have it. Well, again, it's not made to take water. You're not supposed to wet your leather, but if you're doing, if you're molding it or if you're going to be tooling it, then you will have to wet it. And this just gives you an idea of what it will look like. The water doesn't get absorbed very fast, so bear that in mind. The fact it doesn't get absorbed fast is generally a good thing. It really depends on what you're doing with it. You can just rub it off and the water should not leave a trace. But if you're going to be tooling it or casing it, you may want to let it rest longer to let the water really get absorbed here, or just even dunk it in a vat of water or a small jar of water, whatever you're doing. But yeah, very interesting to see. Next is the oil test, again with my reference piece. And as you can see, the oil test, it's interesting, very interesting, because yes, you've still got the same absorption pattern that you're getting with water, but not as pronounced. And overall, the piece is slightly darker, I have to say. It definitely is very slightly dark. I don't know if the camera is actually picking that up, but I'd say it's only very slightly darker. I'm just going to show you with the water piece side by side. As you can see, yep, it gives you a nice idea. So yeah, overall, oil. I don't know if I'd recommend using oil on this leather because the absorption pattern is a bit odd. Of course, that will disappear relatively fast. I mean, the oil gets absorbed by the leather and this kind of discoloration disappears. But yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend using oil on this leather, but at least it's very interesting to see this process. Finally, we've got the wax test, always for my reference piece, and that's looking really, really nice. The color is pretty much identical. I think the wax may have darkened it very slightly, but that could be my imagination trying to play tricks on me. No, I'd say the color is pretty much identical for basic everyday use and purposes. Basically, the color is identical. To my eye, I might see a very slight darkening, but yeah, I don't think you can see a darkening really. However, the wax has added a really nice shine to it, a really nice coating. It looks really nice and it feels, yeah, it just definitely does feel softer. Very, very, not much, but it does feel softer. So bear this in mind. Now that we've done the basic tests, we're going to do the fold test with the glue, stitch, cut, burnish, basically. All those tests in one by using this piece, which again, it's a reference piece. It's not been touched yet. So yeah, I'm using some water-based glue. It's pretty, just random water. It's okay glue. It's good glue, but it's nothing special. And I think that is a good test for this kind of leather. So let's get gluing. Okay, I think we're just about ready. The glue is tacky still. It could be left to dry a bit longer, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and fold. Guys, it's glued up, and as you can see, it's not wanting to sit perfectly, which is a sign of basically this leather being relatively stiff. So depending on your project, this may be a good thing. It means that this leather is going to keep its shape quite nicely, and certainly it is relatively rigid. But it also means that if you're going to be doing rolled edges, you're going to want to skive this leather very thin around the edge to get a nice rolled edge. So bear that in mind. There is a slight discoloration along the edge. It might be hard to see on camera. It's very slight, but it is there. It's definitely there. No obvious stretch marks or break marks or anything like that, which is good. Overall, I'd say I'm quite impressed with that. That looks nice. That has cut very neatly. Those fibers look really nice all along the edge, and I do not doubt that this is going to produce a magnificent burnish. I'm using a Barry King Tools 00 edge beveler to get a very nice thin edge. That cuts beautifully, feels really nice, and yeah, those fibers feel really smooth already. That's insane. That's really nice. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do anything else to this edge apart from burnish it. I would usually sand it down and make sure that these edges are as good as possible, But actually, to be really fair, even if I wanted to sand it down, I don't feel like it needs it. These edges really feel smooth already. And again, I think that's just part of this leather having really nice fiber density, or at least construction to it, where it just feels really nice and it's showing just how good this leather is. I am always using Tocanol, which I believe is one of the best, if not the best, burnishing agent out there. If you haven't used Tocanol before, I definitely would recommend you try it out, because it's changed my burnishing and I cannot go back to anything but Tocanol. Guys, I have to say I'm simply blown away by the quality of the burnish I was able to achieve in just a couple of seconds. Now it could be better if I'd let the glue set, and if I went ahead and sanded it down again and burnished it again, and then even applied some beeswax. But within just a couple of seconds, that burnish is just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I can tell you right now, this is one of the nicest leathers I've ever worked with. I just love the colour that you can see in that burnish. That is really, really nice. And I'm very, very impressed by this leather. One last little test. It's going to be the scratch test, which I can tell you already is going to be quite good on this leather because it's nice and thick. It feels thick and solid, so I'm not too worried about that. For this final test, I am going to be using a metal spatula, which is well, moderately pliable. And let's see how it does. Yeah, so not bad at all, to be expected. You can see the scratches there, but overall that's really impressive. I would have to press down quite hard to actually start taking off some material. I'm very impressed, and even after a few scratches, that's completely fixable with a bit of maybe a bit of coloured wax or something. That's completely fixable. So overall, I'm very impressed with this leather. It's really held out well, and yeah, I can't wait to use some more. For today's project, I'll be making a very simple coin purse, and the template for this you can find on my Etsy store. And if you do buy the template, you'll get the two sizes in one, so you can make one which is big enough for credit cards and one which is a bit smaller for everyday, just coins and everyday use. As always, the link to this will be in the description down below this video. So after all that, what do I think of this leather? Well, I have to say guys, I am really impressed by the quality of this leather. It just feels gorgeous to the touch. It burnishes gorgeously, it handles gorgeously, it's got some good rigidity to it, it's got quite a nice firmness to it, it's pliable, malleable. Honestly guys, this is one of the nicest leathers that I've ever worked with. Now I know I've said that before, but I really do believe that is true. Would I recommend this leather for beginners? Well, maybe if you've got the budget for it, because it's not a very budget friendly leather. However, if you know what you're doing, or are looking for something really gorgeous to work with, even a small amount just to have fun, then definitely pick it up. Why? Because it's very forgiving. It's a great leather for beginners in the sense that it doesn't really scratch easily. You don't need to oil it, you don't need to wax it for it to look really nice. It is relatively water resistant, as we saw. It burnishes gorgeously, it works really nice, and it's, yeah, as I said, it's a very forgiving leather. It's great for people who just want a good leather, that not just good, an excellent leather they can have fun with and make gorgeous things. Obviously, if you're not just a beginner, well, you've probably seen this around, and if you haven't, go and pick it up, because I can promise you, you're going to absolutely love working with this. As I mentioned, it comes in quite a variety of colours, and yeah, I chose the red because I've had difficulty in the past getting this kind of colour, or getting a nice consistent red without over dyeing my leathers, and it's been nice to work with, and I can't wait to get my hands on other colours and check them out as well. There you have it guys, hopefully this has helped you understand whether or not this Buttero leather from Conceria Walpier is the leather you're looking for. I'd like to thank the guys at Rocky Mountain Leather Supply for sending me this. It's been a blast to review it, a blast to work with this leather. And certainly guys, if you're looking for great quality leathers in lots of different colours, go and check out what they have on offer. They really do have an awesome selection. The link to Rocky Mountain Leather Supply, the link to this leather, and the link to my template are in the description below. So if you're interested in any of those, go and check it out. I'd love to hear all your thoughts down in the comments, guys. If you've been working with this leather, or if you intend to pick it up, please let me know. If you have any tips or tricks for people who are working or want to work with this leather, please again share those down there. It's always great to read you guys. I'd also love to hear which leather you would like me to review next, guys. So if you have any leathers that you're thinking of picking up, if I can get my hands on it for you and showcase that leather for you, I'd love to do that. So drop me a comment down there, and I'll get back to you very soon for that. Thanks a ton for joining me today, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, hopefully you've learned something, and hopefully I'll see you very soon for some more leathercraft.